Now, more than 16.4 million people who applied for the special COVID-19 social relief of distress grant had their applications rejected since the fund's introduction in May of this year. But SASSA says these people can appeal that decision, but have until February 2021 to do so. For more on this, I'm joined now by SASSA spokesperson, Paseka Letsatsi. Paseka, good evening and thank you very much for your time. First and foremost, this particular grant and its administration has been plagued by blunders and technical glitches. Are you over that?
Good evening, Tabo, and good evening to the viewers at home as well. Look, we had problems, I must accept, at the beginning, especially in May, because obviously the system was introduced for the first time. We had also having many people who were trying to apply for the grant. But over time, our system, we can confidently say that it has managed to accept people. And so far, we can say, Tabo, that we have paid more than 7 million people. We know that there are those who are declined, who are trying to appeal and so on. And this is what we have zoomed in and make sure that we attend to their problem.
Why are you opening up the appeals process? Are you not confident that your systems were robust enough and foolproof? You think there are people who may have fallen through the cracks?
We think there are people who might have fallen through the cracks. And I think one of the things that we experienced, Tabo, is that there are people who would say that I appear in the database of UIF. However, the last time I went, it was in 2000. There are people who say that I might appear on the database of SARS. However, that particular business has ceased to exist and so on. So we have to ensure that we give people a chance, double check with other state organs and so on. Because what we do not want to do is to cut people, not pay them, and only to find out people are deserving. So we thought it's important for an organization which is caring to make sure that we open the window. We need people to make sure that they appeal and we go through the processes. And if we find out that there are those who are deserving to get the grant, I think it will only be fair for us to make sure that we process the fund and give it to them.
Yeah, but you're not doing this out of the goodwill of your heart. You're doing this because there's been a fair criticism leveled at you for what people are calling unfair rejections.
Look, it's both, but I think that we must accept the fact that there was a criticism. And I think it's also important for us to acknowledge that it is a constructive criticism. And as an organization, when people raise issues, we must not necessarily dismiss them, but we must then be able to analyze and say, what is it that we can do to help our people? But secondly, we have to make sure that, Tabo, that we work together with other state organs. For an example, the South African Social Security Agency mandate is to administer the distribution of social grants. We rely on Home Affairs, we rely on other state organs with which have expertise in those fields. And if they say to us, this person appears on the database, as an organization, we do not have a leg to stand on and differ with them. But if a person says, I'm aggrieved, the last time I worked, it was in 2000. We have those instances where people said, the last time I worked, it was in 2000. Yeah. We definitely have to make sure as an organization that we intervene and we listen to our people.
Now, you've put a deadline on that appeals process, because I gather part of what you're saying, I mean, as much as you're saying, look, we want to address this issue, you're also saying in the same breath, actually, we don't have funds to address every declined application. Now, the other question would be, there are people who then applied at the time of the opening of this and have not been paid up until this point. Do you have the funds to pay them for that whole entire period that they have not been receiving the 350?
Look, Thabo, I think what we are saying is that we understand and accept the fact that the resources are extremely limited. But you can't deny people their right to access the resources. You have to make sure that you interact with other state organs if there are problems, and then be able to put their case through. But the fact of the matter is that we would want to make sure that those who deserve to get the 350 do get it. You can't say if a person is deserving, you can't as an organization marginalize them. I think you would have committed a very serious problem, especially to the South Africans. So our intention as an organization is to make sure that we reach to everybody. We make sure that each and every person who is deserving is catered for. It does not mean that it's an open sesame. Everybody come to the house and so on. We'll have to take them through a very vigorous processes to make sure that we do not necessarily have those who are not even deserving to be part of the system getting what is not due to them.
Okay. But my more direct question for clarity, are you going to back pay the people that had applied earlier and you rejected them?
Look, Tab, I think this is what we need to clarify. One is that the directions are very clear that if you are rejected, you can only appeal within 15 days. Then we can then be able to attend to your problem. However, there are people who might not have been paid because of a problem which is not of their own making. Those particular individuals were able to attend to their problems and were able to make sure that we address the backlog. Outside those who have appealed, there might be some technical problems of a person who might have applied earlier and because of a cell phone that was wrong, a person said, I wanted to get my money through the cell phone. The cell phone was wrong, we were unable to trace the person. But secondly, the person might have a problem with their account. Those people, once we are able to trace them and get hold of them, we definitely have to pay them because it's not the problem of their own. However, as we separate that, there are people who have appealed, and those that we have appealed will attend to each and every case on its own merit.
I appreciate you, Paseka, and I've spoken to you many, many times. And when you're having difficulty answering me in a straightforward manner, I know what that means. It means not everyone is going to be back paid. That's the simple term, in simple terms, what you're saying.
You're quite right. Not everybody will be back paid. There are people who have been refused, who could not get their money. But what we have done and what we want to keep on appealing is that when people upload their information in the system, please, we're appealing to them that they must make sure that the cell phone which they upload is very correct. Yeah. They must also make sure that the method of payment is correct, because somebody says, I want to get my money through the post office. And after a month or 2 days, they want to change and say, I want to get my money through the mobile money. And I think they are confusing us and they are also confusing the system. So all that we are simply saying is that if there was a problem of a person and we managed to trace them and we managed to resolve their issue as an individual, Thabo, I can assure you that individual will be paid what is due to them. Those who have appealed, it's another category as well.
Yes.
Those ones, they've got 15 days after they get a message that your application has been turned down. It's 15 days that it's in the direction. If 15 days is gone, then we can't be able to pay you.
All right. Let's talk about that as well, the appeals process. What is the turnaround? Because people might have appealed within that 15 days. How long will they have to wait before those appeals are processed?
Look, Thabo, I think if you get a message, we're appealing to people that if you get a message that your appeal or your application has been turned down, do make sure that within 15 days you make an appeal so that we can be able to rectify it. I can tell you now, Thabo, we have attended to 45,000 people who were trying to make sure that we rectify the problem. And these people were trying to make sure that in the next payment cycle, they are able to be uploaded and they get what is due to them. We're trying to make sure that we push everybody to make sure that it's all hands on deck, to make sure that if you miss this particular cycle, the next payment cycle, these people are managed to be uploaded in the system and they get what is due to them.
Spokesperson for SASSA there, Paseka. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us tonight.